exposing an incredible truth: how one woman's heartwarming night transformed her life forever. Emily stumbled through the storm, drenched and exhausted after another grueling shift at the diner. The world around her seemed darker tonight, the storm raging as she trudged home, worn down by whispered judgments that hung thick and suffocating over her every step. As a single mother in Maplewood, her days were packed with juggling 2 jobs while trying to raise Mia and Jake amidst the cold, watchful gazes of neighbors who acted like they didn't see her at all. Tonight, however, there was something different in the air. As she approached that familiar intersection, her foot caught on the edge of a crumbling fence, displacing a few loose branches. It was Mr. Johnson's fence. The old war veteran, as grizzled as he was wise, had been a figure around town, someone they all knew but didn't know well. He was out there, struggling against the wind that whipped around him like it was trying to snatch away what was left of his yard. Something stirred within Emily, a flicker of resolve that made her heart race. Before she could second-guess herself, she stepped forward, rain-soaked and determined. "Hey, need a hand?" Surprise flickered in Mr. Johnson's eyes, soon overshadowed by the warmth of gratitude. Together they worked through the storm, collecting the debris and fixing what they could. As thunder rumbled overhead, the air grew rich with conversations, tales of honor, dreams once vivid yet faded, and the service that defined him. Emily listened, truly listened, and for the first time, someone was seeking her out, finding worth in her hardships. Mia and Jake watched, wide-eyed, amazed by their mother in action. Their friends buzzed just outside, oblivious to the beautiful dance of kindness unfolding just beyond the pale of their perfectly manicured lawns. Whispers began to whirl in the neighborhood, though, slicing through the rain. What is she doing helping him? She should just worry about her own kids. The judgment cut deeper than the chill in the air. Doubt tangled in her chest. Could an act of kindness ever break through the stigma tied to her? But as they stood there, a spark ignited in Mia and Jake. They shuffled to help, followed by the local kids who had seen their mother's bravery. They began to rally, inspired by Emily's simple goodwill to revive Mr. Johnson's yard into a vibrant play area for everyone. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The adults began to notice. As news spread, the murmurs shifted from disdain to contemplation. A fundraiser blossomed in the diner, a gathering infused with a sense of community and respect, challenging the very judgments they had all harbored. As Emily embraced the moment, a smile growing on her face, she felt the warmth of hope wash over her. But beneath that optimism lay a question: would this change how people saw her forever, or would it fade like the echoes of a forgotten storm? As she stood at the edge of the diner, surveying the crowd, the heart of Maplewood began to beat in a rhythm all its own, one that hinted at transformation beyond what anyone could have imagined. Emily stood at the diner, the sounds of laughter and chatter washing over her like the aftershocks of a storm. The atmosphere buzzed with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. She watched Mia and Jake, their faces glowing with joy, darting back and forth among children they had once regarded as distant. Even those who had once cast judgment on her were now involved in the transformation, pulling together to breathe life into Mr. Johnson's yard. As she took it all in, her heart swelled with pride. The work they had done together, side by side, felt like a bridge. In that moment, she wasn't just a single mother, she was a cornerstone of a community awakening. But self-doubt lingered at the edges of her happiness. Would this surge of support truly change perceptions? Or would people revert to their old ways after the excitement faded? The fundraiser was a community event like no other. The diner, usually lit with just the glow of its neon sign, now shone brightly with festive lights, banners supporting Emily and Mr. Johnson unfurling across the counter. Neighbors mingled, their laughter and camaraderie flowing with the aroma of coffee and homemade pies. Emily overheard snippets of conversations as she served coffee. "Did you see her with Mr. Johnson?" one woman said. "I never knew she had that kind of spirit." But not everyone was convinced. A pair of older gentlemen in the corner huddled, casting furtive glances in her direction. "What's the story behind her?" "Diner work will never pay enough for those kids," one said, eyebrows furrowed. Emily's heart sank, that familiar sting of judgment creeping back. She steadied herself, reminding herself of the warmth she felt a moment ago. She couldn't let their words dim her spirit. "Let us show them what we can do," Mia shouted, rallying her friends. Their childish enthusiasm was infectious, and Emily felt herself lifted along with them. They were all about to unveil a surprise for Mr. Johnson, a beautiful mural on the fence, decorated with the playful hues of childhood dreams. Together, they had worked late into the night, collaborating to paint scenes of hope and joy, illustrating the tales Mr. Johnson had shared. As the large curtain blocking the mural was pulled back, gasps echoed throughout the diner. Colors burst forth under the golden light, bringing the old fence to life. Mr. Johnson's eyes sparkled as he stepped closer. The expressions on the adults' faces shifted: surprise, pride, and finally understanding washed over them. But even as Emily felt the swell of acceptance, doubt gnawed at the edges of her mind. Was this just a moment? Would they forget once the excitement faded into routines of their daily lives? She didn't want to go back to being invisible. Suddenly, a voice rang out. It was Mr. Johnson, his voice steady but emotional. "You all have brought new life to this old soldier. I can't thank you enough. This is not just a mural, it's a bond." Cheers erupted, and applauses cascaded around her like a well-deserved tide. Emily felt the swell within her again, hope rising. Maybe this could be the start of something new. As the night wore on, the connections deepened, but behind the flickering lights and laughter, the nagging question remained: could this kindness last, or was it just a fleeting moment in Maplewood? In the midst of this newfound acceptance, one final revelation loomed just ahead. Emily caught a glimpse of Mr. Johnson, a hesitant smile dancing on his lips, before he turned toward her with unexpected intensity in his gaze. "I've got something important to tell you, Emily." And with that, a hush fell, curiosity hanging in the air, waiting for the truth to unfold. What could he possibly reveal? The hush in the diner felt thick, wrapping around Emily like a comfortable blanket, yet she could barely breathe. Every eye was on Mr. Johnson, waiting for him to share his shocking revelation. He cleared his throat, his hands trembling slightly as he adjusted his glasses. Emily's heart raced. What could he have to say that was so important? "Emily, I've lived in this town a long time," he began, his voice steadying with each word. "I've seen the good and the bad. I've been in the shadows for years, but tonight, I feel renewed. You all have given me courage, but there is something more I need to share with you." A mix of anticipation and dread settled in her stomach. Was this about her? Did he see her for who she was, or would he expose her vulnerabilities? "I used to own the old hardware store on Main Street, back when I was a young man. I had dreams to run my business and help the community." He paused, a contemplative look knitting his brows together. "But things changed for me after Pearl Harbor. I enlisted, just like many young men did at the time." Emily's breath caught. She had known some of Mr. Johnson's background, but hearing it now, so personal, felt different. "I came back after the war. I was a changed man. I tried to pick up the pieces, but so many of my friends didn't return. The dream I had felt impossible, and slowly, I let my past swallow me." His voice softened, becoming fragile. "I hidden inside these walls, waiting for life to go by." The weight of his words pressed against her chest. She wanted to reach out to let him know she understood more than he thought. "I see you, Emily. I see how you've transformed this place with your heart." His eyes met hers, holding her gaze. "And I think it's time I step back into the light too." A nervous murmur rippled through the crowd. Could it be that this vintage soldier was ready to reclaim his life? Emily felt her hope ignite. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly as she leaned closer. He took a deep breath. "I've been working on something. A project, really. It's meant to lift up those who've lost their way, just as I did. It's a community center, a place for people to gather, learn, and heal. And I want you to help me." The diner erupted into excited chatter, but Emily felt a rush of disbelief. Did he truly see her as that capable? "Me?" she managed to say, fighting the rising swell of emotions. "Why me?" "Because you bring light, Emily. You have what it takes to inspire. And your story resonates with this town far beyond what you know. We've both been waiting for a chance." Cheers broke out again, mixed with laughter. Emily was overwhelmed by the wave of support. But as she basked in the glow, another part of her stirred, gnawing at her heart. Was she truly ready for such a monumental responsibility? Could she really step into a role that might redefine her place in Maplewood forever? A flicker of doubt crashed through her thoughts. She hesitated, her voice faltering. "What if I fail?" Mr. Johnson leaned closer, his sincerity grounding her. "Failure is just the first step toward success." "But what if you fly?" His words hung in the air like a promise, a challenge. The crowd began to chant her name, calling for her to take the leap. With a rush of courage swelling inside her, Emily realized that this wasn't just about her anymore. They were all in this together. And at that moment, a new journey unfurled before her, bright and full of possibility, but with it, the question remained. Could she summon the strength to lead a community that once doubted her? The diner erupted into celebration, but Emily knew that a deeper calling had emerged. As she looked up at Mr. Johnson, hope burning brightly in their shared gaze, a piece of her heart whispered, what would come next for them all? The diner's vibrant chatter filled the air, a swirl of joy and excitement as conversations bounced around the room, but inside Emily, a whirlpool of thoughts tugged at her heart. Mr. Johnson's words echoed in her ears, each syllable igniting a spark of potential, but also a shadow of doubt. She glanced around at the faces illuminated by hopeful laughter. Old friends, loyal customers, and even some who had once turned away now offered her smiles infused with warmth. Their collective energy wrapped around her, yet a flicker of fear nestled in her chest. Could she really be the person they needed? What if she stumbled? As if sensing her turmoil, Mr. Johnson stepped closer, his expression earnest. "Now is the time, Emily. Together, we can reshape this community. We can breathe new life into Maplewood." His conviction washed over her like a gentle tide, though doubt still clawed at her. "You really think I can do this?" she asked, her voice unsure. "Absolutely. You have a gift that brings people together. It's not just about you, it's about all of us who've felt lost and need a place to belong." The sincerity in his eyes broke through her hesitation. What if he was right? What if she could be that guiding light? The thought felt both thrilling and terrifying. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out, breaking her contemplation. "Let us get started right away." It was Sarah, the town's school teacher, her face beaming with eagerness. "We can hold meetings next week. We'll gather everyone's ideas. Who else with us?" The crowd erupted in cheers, and the excitement was contagious. Emily's heart raced as she felt the spark inside her grow. Ideas began to swirl in her mind. Workshops, art classes, community meals. She could already see it taking shape, bright and hopeful, as they talked about the community center, the room filled with visions of togetherness. People shared stories of what they needed. A place for the youth, support for the elderly, a safe haven for those in need. Each idea left her more inspired than before. Their words fueled her resolve, but amid that fire, the nagging questions crept back in. Emily couldn't shake the fear that curled around her heart. What if her efforts weren't enough? What if the community's dreams proved bigger than she could manage? She felt a wall looming, a boundary she hadn't anticipated. "Emily," Mr. Johnson's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. "You have everything you need inside you. It won't be easy, but I promise you'll find strength you didn't know you had." His confidence lit a flicker of hope deep within. Maybe all of this was a journey meant to help her discover that strength. As the excitement in the diner rose, Emily could see the bright eyes of her neighbors, the connection in their community strong and unwavering. "Let us gather courage, then," she finally said, her voice clearer. "Let us do this together." Cheers erupted again, and the atmosphere buzzed with renewed purpose. Yet, as Emily joined in the celebration, the deeper question loomed large. Could she navigate the impending challenges, face the doubts ahead, and become the leader they needed? That night, as laughter faded and people trickled out, Emily felt the weight of expectation settle beside her, an enticing balance of fear and exhilaration. What would the coming weeks demand from her? As she and Mr. Johnson cleaned up the remnants of the joyous night, a new mystery hung in the air. What would it take for her to revel in true leadership? The next morning, the sun broke over Maplewood, casting a warm glow through Emily's window. She blinked at the light, feeling the weight of the previous night as excitement still swirling in her heart. Today marked the beginning of something new, yet an ever-present flicker of insecurity shadowed her steps. As she brewed her coffee, she gazed out the kitchen window. Maplewood was waking up, just like her dreams. Birds flitted through the trees, and she could hear the soft laughter of children on their way to school. Yet, she couldn't shake the nagging questions that surfaced. Could she really rally her neighbors? Was she truly the person to lead them toward an inspired vision? She decided to take a walk, hoping the fresh air would calm her nerves. Stepping outside, she felt the crisp morning air envelop her. As she strolled down Main Street, she was greeted by familiar faces. Mrs. Thompson waved from her porch, while the coffee shop owner nodded appreciatively as she passed by. The community felt vibrant, alive, and vibrant, a reminder of the connections that could be strengthened. Her mind bubbled with ideas for the community center, slowly morphing into a tangible plan. Workshops for youth with mentors, art classes led by local creatives, and meals that could draw families together with laughter and warmth. Emily envisioned a bustling hub where dreams, ideas, and friendships took root. Each thought sprouted new hope within her. As she rounded the corner, she spotted Sarah sitting on a bench, a notebook in her lap. The teacher looked up and smiled.
"Good morning, Emily."
"I was just jotting down some ideas for our first meeting." "Looks like you've got quite the list going," Emily said, joining her on the bench. Sarah beamed. "I really believe we can do this. Revive Maplewood in a way that uplifts us all. I had an idea for evening classes for adults, maybe even cooking or crafting. Wouldn't that be fun?" Emily's eyes widened. "That's brilliant. We need those kinds of classes." The two of them began exchanging ideas, their excitement growing with each suggestion. But just as she was sweeping into the current of possibility, a cold gust of doubt nipped at her heels. "Do you think we'll really get people to show up?" Emily found herself asking. What if nobody cares? "Can I tell you a secret?" Sarah leaned closer, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. "I think they will care. People are looking for something meaningful, something they can be part of. They just need a little push." Her words resonated deeply, lighting a small fire inside Emily. "You're right. We just need to show them how much the community means." The two women sat on that bench, exchanging ideas, hope, and dreams. Time slipped away unnoticed until Sarah finally said, "We should call a town meeting. Get everyone involved in planning this." Emily's heart raced. Yes, we should do that. But in the corner of her mind, fear still lurked like a specter, whispering doubts. What if I can't lead them? What if I disappoint everyone? As they walked back towards the diner, Emily felt a shift within her. A sense of shared responsibility began to anchor her, and the whispers of doubt wavered ever so slightly. Maybe they were right. Maybe together, they could build something meaningful. But just when her hopes began to solidify, a thought struck her. Could her growing bond with Sarah create unforeseen challenges? What if their visions clashed when they turned to the community's next step? As she approached the diner, anticipation mixed with trepidation filled her gut. Was she prepared for what was next? What new revelations awaited them in the community meeting just a few days ahead? The day of the town meeting arrived with the same crispness as the morning Emily took that walk. She found herself standing in front of the diner, her heart racing against her ribs. The windows sparkled invitingly, but inside, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirled like the steam rising from her coffee cup. Birds chirped busily in the trees above. It was a beautiful day, a perfect day to come together as a community. But as she brushed a hand through her hair, Emily couldn't shake the thought that this would be the moment where everything changed one way or another. She entered the diner, its familiar aroma of brewed coffee and pancakes giving her a brief sense of comfort. Sarah was already there, seated at a table piled with papers and an air of determination. Meeting her gaze was like catching sight of a lighthouse in a storm. It reminded Emily of the purpose behind their efforts.
Hey,
Sarah greeted, eyes shining. Can you believe it's finally here? Emily could only smile back, though her stomach clenched in nervous knots. The diner began to fill with familiar faces, neighbors she had grown up with, families she had known all her life. It was a hopeful gathering, yet doubt lingered in the forefront of her mind. Are you ready? Sarah asked quietly as they observed the room filling up. Emily took a deep breath. I think so. But what if my ideas aren't enough? Emily, Sarah said softly, this is bigger than just you or me. It's about all of us coming together to create a space that matters. As their voices blended into the din of laughter and chatter, Emily focused on the faces around her. The sweet old man on the corner booth, the single mother juggling her toddler, and a notebook. Each soulful expression was a testament to all the lives woven into this small town. With the sound of clinking coffee cups and muffled conversations buzzing around her, a rush of resolve surged through Emily. She remembered the cold gust that had gnawed at her during her walk, and how it had shifted into warmth, all because of the community as encouragement. This gathering could be the beginning of something special. Just then, the diner fell quiet. Mayor Johnson stood, pulling the room's attention like a thread woven tight. His voice boomed with authority, but carried a warmth that could only be born from years of dedication to the town. Thanks for coming, everyone. Tonight, we're here to talk about revitalizing Maplewood. His eyes sparkled with possibility. Nerves pricking her thoughts, Emily shot a glance at Sarah, who simply nodded, urging her to take the leap. Summoning her courage, Emily stood, heart thumping thunderously as she walked toward the center. Thank you all for being here, she started, her voice shaking at first but quickly gaining strength. I believe Maplewood has so much potential, and together, we can create a community center that offers classes, workshops, and opportunities for everyone. We can bring our families closer and make it a hub of creativity and joy. A few heads nodded in encouragement. She felt the warmth of support wrapping around her, and her confidence began to rise. But just as she shared her vision, an unexpected voice rang out from the crowd, a familiar one, unmistakable. What do you know about leading a community, Emily? It was Derek, a neighbor known for his sharp tongue and skepticism. Gasps of surprise floated through the room. Emily's heart stalled, yet something deep inside urged her to respond. Did he mean to challenge her vision? Or was this a plea for clarity? In that charged moment, the air was thick with tension, and she realized the very fabric of their community, their dreams and their doubts, hung in the balance. Could she answer him, and the rest of the skeptics, in a way that formed real connections and encouraged collective growth? With every ounce of willpower, she took a deep breath, ready to face the crowd head-on. This was going to be her moment, but would it bring allies or further divide? Emily's pulse quickened as she gripped the edge of the podium, her knuckles white. Derek's challenge hung heavy in the air, and the atmosphere crackled with expectation. She searched the crowd for familiar faces, her friends, her neighbors. There was Sarah, her constant beacon of support, nodding encouragingly. But Derek's voice echoed around her, threatening to drown out her hopes. I may not be a leader in the traditional sense, Emily began, her voice steadier now, but I've lived here long enough to know what we need. I've seen families struggle and dream. I've watched friends help each other through hard times. That's leadership, too. A ripple of murmurs stirred among the crowd. Glancing at Derek, She caught a glint of surprise flickering in his eyes. Maybe she had struck a chord. Encouraged, Emily pressed on. Every single one of you carries a piece of our community. Each story, each experience, makes us who we are. This center isn't about me. It's about us. It's about creating a place where everyone feels seen and heard. With each word, she felt the warmth spreading within her, confidence blooming, powering her resolve. She spoke to the sourdough bread warmth of home, the laughter that filled backyards, the tears shed in hard times. Imagine a space where kids learn to paint, where adults can share skills, or where we host townsfolk potlucks. A place where no one feels isolated. A center where our futures can intertwine like the roots of a great old oak. A few faces in the crowd brightened. Even Derek looked a little softer. But would it be enough to turn the tide? Let us not shy away from the challenges we face. Let us lean into them together. We have the power to change our future, but it must start with connection. It must be built from the ground up with trust, compassion, and determination. Silence wrapped around her, thickening the air once more, but it was different this time. She felt it a shared heartbeat, a collective hope swaying against the backdrop of her words. Finally, the first round of applause broke the stillness, hesitant at first, but growing louder as others joined in. Her heart soared. Perhaps she wasn't alone in this fight after all, and then, without warning, Derek stood again, cutting through the applause, his expression earnest now. You make a compelling case, Emily. But how can we be sure this will actually benefit everyone? What if we fail? Failure will happen, Emily admitted, her voice steady. But we cannot let that fear paralyze us. Let us take steps together. We can create committees that represent all voices in Maplewood youth, seniors, families, and so on. We'll adjust and adapt as we go. But we have to start somewhere. Derek shifted, and Emily held her breath. His skepticism wasn't gone, but she could sense a flicker of possibility. The room erupted again in applause, louder this time, the energy palpable. As Emily looked around, she saw glimmers of hope reflected in the eyes of those who had long felt unheard. They could do this, but it would take all of them. When the meeting wrapped up, people gathered around her, voices filled with quick excitement. Emily welcomed their energy, thrilled by each perspective shared. She felt the burdens of doubt shedding from her shoulders, and for the first time, she could truly see the heart of Maplewood, a place ready to embrace a new future. Yet, as she exchanged ideas and smiles, Derek stepped closer, his silhouette dark against the bustling crowd. Emily, he murmured, I think I'm starting to understand where you're coming from. But there's one thing I need to know before I can fully get on board. His words hung in the air, sending a chill of trepidation through her. What could he possibly want that might change everything again? Taking a deep breath, Emily was ready to confront whatever truth lay ahead. Little did she know the real turning point of her journey was just beginning. Emily steadied herself, the crowd buzzing with eager anticipation. Derek's serious gaze held her captive, but she was no longer afraid. This was her moment, and she would face whatever he had to say head-on. What is it, Derek? She asked, her voice unwavering. The murmurs around them faded as she spoke, the crowd leaning in, drawn to this unspoken tension. Derek hesitated, searching her eyes for something understanding. Perhaps? I need to know what's your real plan beyond this talk. Can we really change things here, or is it just another idea that will fade away like so many before? His challenge cut deeper than she expected. This was more than just a question. It was a plea. I want to see action, he continued, his voice barely above a whisper. We've all dreamed big. We want progress, not just empty promises. Emily felt a wave of emotions crest within her. She had been so focused on inspiring the crowd that she hadn't outlined the specifics. She took a step closer, lowering her voice as she locked eyes with him. We will start by forming committees that will take on projects directly from all of you. Actual tasks, tangible progress. We'll meet regularly, solicit feedback, and ensure every voice is heard. Derek nodded, still serious, but she could see a spark igniting the hint of a growing connection. That's a start. But what if people don't show up? What if they lose interest after a week? The fear in his voice mirrored her own insecurities. Then we will go to them, she replied passionately. We will create a culture of inclusion. Let us have monthly events to celebrate our advancements, share our stories, draw people in. We'll turn those ideas into realities. The crowd around them began to buzz with interest again. This was no ordinary meeting. This was hope awakening something long dormant. Emily could feel the energy shifting. When we make tangible progress, people will feel the impact. Hope will bring them out. Derek's expression began to soften. I want this. I do. But will others feel the same? She turned to the crowd. How many of you want to see change in Maplewood? Hands shot up, voices chiming in with enthusiasm. We're here for it. Yes. Let us do it. Emily turned back to Derek, her heart pounding with excitement.
See?
Together, we have a chance. We just need to work hand in hand. He smiled, really smiled for the first time. Okay, I can work with that. They stood together, united under the weight of shared dreams and desires, and the crowd erupted into applause. Emily felt the adrenaline pumping through her veins, lifting her spirits even higher. They could really do this. But just as the applause ebbed into a gentle wave of chatter, a sharp voice cut through the air. What about the funding? It was a woman from the back, Margaret, a local business owner known for her no-nonsense approach. The question hung heavy, brewing uncertainty. Emily's heart sank for a moment. Funding, she echoed, feeling the weight of reality press down on them. We can organize fundraisers, seek donations from local businesses, apply for grants, but will it be enough? Margaret pressed, her eyes narrowing with skepticism. The mood in the room shifted again, a tension creeping back in. Derek stepped in, his voice strong. Maybe we need a town hall meeting specifically for planning this. We should brainstorm and address all concerns. Everyone should contribute. Emily realized he was right.
Yes.
Let us not just focus on success, but also prepare for the challenges. We can face them together. But Margaret's expression remained unyielding. And if we fail, what then? Emily felt her breath hitch, the fear creeping back in. She wanted to quell it, to paint a vivid picture of a brighter future. We will learn and adapt. Together, we will not let fear dictate our path. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty, yet a flicker of hope pushed its way through. Could they really dive into this together? As the conversation flowed again, Emily felt a surge of determination building inside her. She realized that this journey was just beginning, and the community's engagement would shape everything. What if this was more than they could handle? Or worse, what if she wasn't enough? With her heart racing, she understood the challenges ahead would be daunting. Yet she couldn't help but feel that this was the start of something incredible. Derek leaned in closer. Are you prepared for everything this might bring? They're going to rely on you, Emily. She took a deep breath, confidence swelling. I have to be ready. We all do. But as she glanced into the eager faces around her, Emily wasn't so sure how far they could truly go. The winds of change were swirling, but what storms lay ahead? The possibilities both thrilled and terrified her. Emily felt the weight of Derek's words wrap around her like a heavy cloak. He was right. They were all counting on her. But the uncertainty gnawed at her, a persistent ache in the pit of her stomach. The room pulsed with energy, excitement hanging like a dense fog, but beneath it, the questions loomed large. What if they couldn't raise the necessary funds? What if they lost momentum before the project could take off? Margaret's skepticism echoed in her mind, a haunting reminder of the risks. She scanned the crowd, seeing familiar faces of neighbors and friends, each one filled with hope but also doubt. They had seen so many plans come and go, leaving nothing but disappointment in their wake. Would this time be any different? Let us get started, Emily said, her voice louder now, drawing the crowd's attention back. We don't have time to waste. We need to hold meetings, gather ideas, create that committee we talked about. We need to map out goals big and small. At that moment, the first flicker of resolve ignited in her. She wasn't just talking. She was laying the foundation for something greater. Derek stepped beside her, a reassuring presence. And we'll start with you all.
What do you want?
What should our first project be? His tone was inviting, the gentle curve of his smile encouraging. A few hands shot up. How about a community garden? Shouted a young woman with bright orange hair. It'll bring everyone together. Or a food drive, cried Mr. Jensen, the retired teacher known for his enthusiasm during town events. We could help families who need support. More ideas flooded the air like confetti, each one sparking interest and connection. Emily felt her heart swell with each suggestion. This was the beauty of community. Everyone holding a piece of the puzzle, ready to contribute something meaningful. I love these ideas, Emily exclaimed, her voice rising with excitement. A community garden can foster collaboration and teach our kids about sustainability. A food drive would not only help those in need, but also strengthen our bonds as neighbors. Exactly, Derek added, nodding enthusiastically. It's all about creating an environment where we can all thrive. We have to channel this energy into action. But just as hope began to fill the space, Margaret stood again. Wonderful ideas. But we cannot forget about the funding issue. Those things cost money, and we need a solid plan to raise it or we risk disappointing everyone once again. Emily's shoulders slumped for a second. Yes, the harsh light of reality shone bright again. They needed structure, a financial backbone to support their dreams. But we won't know until we try, she countered, pushing back against the weight of Margaret's skepticism. Let us brainstorm on how we can raise the funds. We can ask local businesses for support, host fairs, and even crowdsource online. It's about getting creative. She caught Derek's eye, his expression a blend of admiration and urgency. Emily, I think you're onto something. Let us create a fundraising committee right along with the project teams. They can tackle ways to gather support. The crowd began to grow animated again, murmuring excitedly as conversations sparked around them. They began forming small groups, exchanging ideas in a hopeful buzz. Emily felt the tide turning. In that moment, she realized this wasn't just about plans. This was about instilling a sense of ownership. Each of them would have a role in transforming their community. It was no longer just her dream. It was theirs. However, as excitement surged, a nagging voice in her head reminded her of the challenges. What if they couldn't stay united? What if funding fell through? Everyone, she interjected, grounding the conversation. Whatever roadblocks we hit, we promise to take them on together. Are we in this together? A chorus of affirmatives rang out, lifting her spirits. But behind that joy, the reality of potential failure loomed heavy. Could they truly navigate the storm ahead? As she stood before the crowd, Emily felt both the thrill of possibility and the icy tendrils of fear wrap around her heart. Would their unified effort be enough to weather whatever lay ahead? She gave a small nod to herself, pulling strength from the energy around her. Derek leaned closer, voice low. Whatever happens next, remember to stay true to your vision. That's what will guide you. But as Emily looked at the hopeful faces all around, she couldn't shake the sense that this was only the beginning of a far greater battle. Each victory would bring another challenge, but what lay in wait for them on this journey? With her heart pounding, she took a deep breath and stepped forward into the unknown. The sun hung high over Maplewood, casting a golden glow on the community center that stood proud, a testament to what they had achieved together. The laughter of children echoed through the air, their gleeful shouts mixing with the gentle sounds of neighbors chatting and the aroma of barbecued food wafting through the open doors. It was dedication day, a day that illuminated just how far Emily and her neighbors had come. Emily stood at the entrance, her heart swelling as she took it all in. The vibrant mural painting that Mia and Jake had contributed to was now a centerpiece, celebrating their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. Mr. Johnson stood beside her, his knit brows softened with pride, his eyes misty with joy. He reached out, giving her a gentle nudge. "You spearheaded this, young lady," he said, his voice warm and reassuring. "I couldn't have done it without all of you," Emily replied, her heart racing. She felt the weight of the past year shift from burden to blessing. Each doubt, Each moment of fear had driven her toward this moment. The crowd gathered a tapestry of familiar faces, children, parents, seniors, all interwoven with laughter and hope. Emily watched the excitement unfold like a blossoming flower as the mayor stepped up, his presence commanding yet inviting. "Welcome, everyone," he announced, his voice booming through the crowd. "Today, we celebrate not just this beautiful building but the spirit of community that made it happen. Thanks to each one of you for believing in Maplewood's potential." Cheers erupted, and Emily felt warmth spreading within her. This was a collective victory, an echo of all the late nights spent brainstorming, challenging doubts, and coming together to overcome the odds. It wasn't just a physical structure, it was a space where healing existed, where stories would flourish. As the celebration continued, Sarah slid next to her, a proud grin plastered across her face. "I can't believe we did this. We worked so hard, Emily. I'd say we have a reason to celebrate a lot more than this." Her enthusiastic energy sparked the fire inside Emily once more. "And to think we had our ups and downs." Sarah nodded, her gaze distant. "But we weathered every storm. Can you believe how Derek turned around? I saw him last week talking about a cooking class he wants to lead." Emily smiled, knowing how far they'd come. Derek's transformation from skeptic to supporter had been one of the most unexpected joys. He had become a crucial part of executing the vision, rallying others with a newfound passion.
"Hey, you!"
Derek called from across the yard, waving enthusiastically. "Are you ready to cut the ribbon?" Just then, a collective energy fused inside Emily. This was at the moment they had worked so hard for. Everyone gathered, laughter bursting around them like fireworks. The mayor handed Emily the oversized scissors, her hands trembling with excitement. "On the count of 3, let us do this. 1, 2, 3. The crisp sound of the scissors sliced through the air, and the vibrant ribbon fell away, revealing the words painted elegantly across the entrance. "Welcome to the Maplewood Community Center." Cheers erupted, and Emily's heart soared to heights she had never imagined. She was no longer viewed with judgment. She was now a leader, a beacon of possibility. As parents embraced their children, neighbors mingled, and laughter filled the air, Emily felt a profound connection wash over her. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson," she said, turning to him, the gratitude palpable in her voice. "This wouldn't have been possible without your vision." The old veteran smiled warmly. "It took all of us, Emily, but you brought us right here." One by one, familiar faces approached, offering congratulations and sharing how inspired they felt by the unity that had blossomed. For the first time, Emily felt the confidence flow freely through her veins as the weight of doubt faded away. Could this kindness last? Oh, it will, she realized, glancing around at the people gathered. Because we've built more than just a community center, we've woven together a tapestry of shared dreams, and as long as we keep that spirit alive, it can only grow. As they began the festivities, games, workshops, laughter, Emily closed her eyes for a moment, letting the joy and love wash over her. It was finally happening. She had transformed not just her life, but the trajectory of Maplewood. She looked down at her children, their smiles bright as they played with their friends, who had become family. In that moment, she understood. They were all in this together, forever changed by a heartwarming night that had reshaped their lives, bouncing off each other as hopes and dreams like a joyful echo. This was just the beginning, an inspiring reminder that community could triumph against all odds. And just like that, Emily knew she had found her place in the world. A chapter closed, yet a new adventure just poised to begin. Her heart raced at the thought of what they would accomplish next. But as the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over their celebration, one voice broke through the joyous noise, urging the crowd. "Don't forget. Support each other. Let us keep building our dreams." "Absolutely," Emily hailed, raising her arms in unity. "And let us never stop believing we can change this community for the better." That echoed in the night, marking not just a milestone but a promise. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories unfolding just like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, show us you're here. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.